So what is batching? To explain it in simplest terms, we can talk about laundry. All right, so you wouldn't do your laundry every time you have a new pair of dirty socks. You wait for a certain critical mass of dirty laundry to accumulate, and then you do the laundry. Why? Same with the post office. If you have many different types of mail that are going to come together that you need to mail, you're going to wait for a certain critical mass as opposed to just going there for every single letter, because there's a setup cost. There is a task switching cost, getting in the car, driving there, spending the gas, spending the time, laundry, putting it all together, detergent, and so on. Right? So the time and labor involved in doing one letter or 20 or one pair of socks or an entire basket of clothing is the same. And you want to be both effective and efficient with your allocation of resources, i.e. time. If you apply those to business, you can apply them in 1,000,001 different ways. And I'll give you a few examples. One of the most common, I suppose, directional questions or specifics that I'm asked about is frequency. Well, do I batch on a daily basis? Do I batch on a weekly basis? Do I batch on a monthly or quarterly basis? And the answer is I do all of those things. But you don't have to try it all at once, and I would not encourage you to do that. I would encourage you to perhaps try one or two approaches and see what works for you. This is a very personal set of techniques. You develop a portfolio that works for yourself. Let me tell you a few things that I and others do. For instance, you might decide that on a given day, from the time you wake up until lunch is your primary creation period. This could be writing, it could be recording, it could be anything that is proactively creative and synthesis. Then, once you have lunch, you are permitted to do administrative tasks, phone calls, email, triage, calendaring, and so on. I do this quite a lot, particularly from Tuesday to Thursday. On certain weeks. On a weekly basis, I know the CEO of a very well-known startup, pretty much everyone watching this would know this company, and instead of batching on a daily basis, looking at his week, Monday to Friday, he might have day 1, administrative tasks, day 2, HR hiring, day 3, product, day 4, marketing, and on each of those days, he will focus on thematically or categorically those types of tasks. That is yet another approach. And very commonly, I will batch phone calls on Mondays and Fridays. And I would say even broadly speaking, this is voice-related tasks. So I will have phone calls and podcast recording on Mondays and Fridays. And this helps to prevent also interruptions and task switching that can result if you have miscellaneous phone calls and podcasts scattered throughout the week. Makes it very difficult to do deep work on anything that might require 3 to 5 hours of uninterrupted time. On a quarterly basis, you could look at batch producing or completing certain types of normally scattered activities. For instance, I am recording this video right now during a content generation week, where a week is blocked out once per quarter to focus on answering common questions that all of you or my readers or listeners have asked, and so on and so forth. On a, say, 6-month to yearly basis, I have started in the last few years batching travel. Why would I batch travel? I mean, there are many different reasons to batch travel. One of my reasons is that I want to practice being off the grid for extended periods of time, to not only remind myself and prove to myself that it is possible to do that, and no, the internet will not stop, the universe will not end if you are unavailable and unreachable for certain periods of time, and also to rejuvenate, to recharge, being away from social media and keyboards, laptops, screens, and so on. Batching is one of the fundamental concepts that you need to understand. If you understand the principle, the reasons for it, the concepts, you can come up with your own examples to experiment with. And these are not permanent changes. Think of them as 2-week experiments. One tiny thing that you can test, assuming that it's on a daily or weekly basis, and try it out. See what works. Keep what works, reject what doesn't, add what is uniquely your own, borrowing from Bruce Lee with that. And before you know it, you will have a reliable, dependable way of making yourself more effective and more efficient, which is your bespoke iteration of batching.
Fridays can be the most productive day of the week. I know it doesn't seem like they could be the most productive day of the week, but they can be. I know what often happens Friday afternoon. If you're working a Monday through Friday schedule, you're kind of sliding into the weekend at that point, maybe even hiding out so nobody finds you. It's really hard to start anything new on Friday afternoon, but you might be willing to think about what future you should be doing. And if you spend a little bit of time on Friday afternoons planning the week ahead, you can turn what might be wasted time into your most productive minutes of the week. So, Friday afternoon, few minutes, make yourself a short 3-category priority list for the next week. Career, relationships, self. Making a 3-category list reminds you that there should be something in all 3 categories. So that right there is going to nudge you to plan a more balanced week and have a more balanced life. It doesn't have to be long, just a few short things in each. But look at your week, see where they can go, front load the week if you can, do as much of it as you can Monday and Tuesday, because you know what? Stuff's going to come up. Could be good stuff, could be bad stuff. But by planning the week ahead and putting what matters to you into your schedule first, you vastly increase the chances that that stuff gets done.
So for the next 90 days, your first 90 minutes at work, make it focused on your single most important project. I'll repeat that again. For the next 90 days, the first 90 minutes of your workday, focus monomaniacally on your single most valuable project. I call it your game-changing move. So it might be creating a new piece of code that will revolutionize the marketplace. It might be a new product that when you launch it will fill a need within your industry that no peer is currently providing. I don't know what your game-changing move is, but this is your poetry. This is your magnum opus for the next 90 days. So what most people do is, people who are playing at victimhood, people who are in the 95%, people who are making excuses about ordinary results in their life, a lot of them are not doing the things that would give them legendary results. And what they do is they get to the office, and rather than using prime time for activities, they use their best hours watching dancing cats on whatever it is, whatever the video platform is. They spend their best hours surfing the internet looking at blogs. They spend their best hours playing with notifications, reading notifications, chatting with friends who are not really their friends, but really they're just bored, so they're distracting themselves, which is just a form of medication because potential unexpressed turns to pain, and they're in a lot of pain, and it's subconscious, and they haven't done the work to know it. So really, they've created these drugs of choice, like too much email, too much web surfing, too much chit-chatting, too much looking at funny-looking videos that make them laugh in the moment, that make them feel happy and give them a short burst of dopamine and maybe a little bit of serotonin, which is the pleasure neurotransmitter, and that's how they get through their day. And all I'm saying is there is so much distraction available to you out there that if you are not acutely careful, it will dominate your days. For the next 90 days, your first 90 minutes, create a tight bubble of total focus so that no one can distract you. Turn off your devices, put them in a little plastic bag, put some reminders on your door, maybe some Post-it notes that this is my tight bubble of total focus for the next 90 minutes. Tell your team, tell your loved ones, maybe put a do not disturb sign on your door. They'll laugh, and explain it to them that for the next 90 days, I will spend 90 minutes away from distraction, away from technology, away from interruptions, focusing on my magnum opus, focusing on the genius project that I want to bring into the world because I will never mail it in. I will always bring it on, and I'm going to do this for the next 90 minutes, and I'm going to optimize it and iterate it every day, and I'm going to bring my full bandwidth because what makes a genius, they all have one trait in common. They were able to spend extended periods of time in isolation, focused monomaniacally on their most valuable project.
You're in front of a computer, you're working on it, let's say 2, 3, 4 hours straight, non-stop. You notice how you lose focus and you get fatigue. Yeah. Right? Productivity. You notice you can see at first, first hour, but then even you're doing the work, but after a few hours, you're like, you feel, your productivity is going down after 4 or 5 hours, right?
Hey, how long we been here anyways?
37 minutes.
What? 37 minutes? That's insane.
Yeah, so Because human beings, we're not designed to do that. Our brain and all that, we actually design the way that we work as more like a sprint, right? So work intensely, could be 40, 45 minutes, 50 minutes.
Yes.
Break. Then do another 45-minute break, right? That's how I recommend you to schedule your time. We're not designed to work 5-6 hours straight, no break. Yep. You know your productivity, right? You're not very productive after a few hours because we are not designed. That's why we lose focus and you kind of see the stuff blurry in front of you.
For many of us, slowing down is really scary, but that's exactly what you need to do. And so if you are always in a rush, if you feel like there's urgency in your life, if you move at a pace that makes you feel panicked or rush, you got a million things to do, and you think that you're busy, but you're not productive, the solution is not doing more, it's doing less. It's not speeding up, it's actually slowing down. Because being busy doesn't mean you're in control. It means you're being driven by this fear of slowing down. You're being driven by the fear that when you slow down, you're going to have to confront where you're at and you're going to have to start doing the work, and that can be scary. But you take control of your life, not by speeding up, everybody, but by slowing down. You take control of your life by removing distraction and adding in focus. You take control of your life by being honest with yourself about the things that you're filling your life with that doesn't matter, that makes you so busy, and that also prevents you from finding the 15 minutes that you need every day to really find the courage to focus on making your life a little bit better or pushing something forward. If you're somebody who's guilty of being busy and never having the time to do the thing that really matters to you, that your heart's calling you to do, or you never have the time to do something to take care of yourself, I want you to find 15 minutes today. And I want you to slow down. Whether you've always thought about meditating and you never done it, download the Calm app, listen to it, do one guided meditation, go for a walk for 15 minutes, just a quiet walk without your phone or with your phone turned off. Have a cup of tea or a cup of coffee and read something. Listen to a podcast for 15 minutes. Take a bath tonight. Something where you experience the sensation of slowing down. Because again, busyness becomes a habit, and when it becomes a habit, it becomes an epidemic. And when it becomes an epidemic, it will rob you of your ability to take control of your life. And at the root cause of all of this is fear. Just the fear of slowing down. Because when you slow down and you start to create priorities and you start to take control, now you're responsible for what's happening in your life. And you can no longer rely on just complaining that you're busy.